Good morning, good morning, good morning. It is a wonderful Thursday, cold and wintry in the Northeast. It's raining outside my window here today, and we're together anyway. So come talk to me. Today is 2025 leadership, whiplash, tariffs, DEI, AI, now what? So let's talk about what's going on and how that affects our world. So let me tell you this. Remember, in the past few weeks, I said that changes were coming. Well, here they are. And if you don't have a plan, you're going to be left behind. I have been using for the past few years COVID as the example of instant change in our world and our businesses. Well, I don't have to do that anymore. We could just wake up in the morning and see what the new administration has done. So, before we get into all that, let's talk about the rules of engagement. Please, as you come on, say hello and where you're from. Today, I am back in my office and in San Jose, California. Let us know where you're from. I'd love to hear from you all. Tell me in the comments below. So tell me, um, did you see our stream of last week? I came to you live from Guatemala. We had a great time there. I had joined an entrepreneurial retreat group. The leader of the group comes from Ottawa, Canada. His name's Majid. He was on last week's stream. And he, I guess, wanted someplace warm and not being cold Canada. So we spent a week of our retreat in Guatemala. It was a great week. The weather was great. I thought that it was more beautiful and fun than I thought it was going to be in Guatemala. So if you have a chance to go, definitely go. And if you're into coffee, it is the place to be. The coffee is fabulous, according to my wife and other people, but of course, I don't know. I don't drink coffee. So tell me what's on your mind today. Excuse me. I want to say hello to Antoinette. This is my lovely wife who joins our stream every week. Thank you very much for boosting my guest levels. I'll see you tonight, hon. So let's talk about what's going on out there. Quick recap. For weeks, I have been saying there's big shifts happening and leaders need to be involved and understanding what they're going to do and how they plan, because the world shifts every single day. If it's not because of this administration or COVID or something like that, it will be because of something else. So what's your plan? How do you adapt? And I love the word adapt, because adaptability is by far the biggest, most sought after leadership skill that companies are going for now. We need to know how to adapt and change in our marketplaces. So, what's happening? Kind of a quick recap. We have tariffs that came out. And we have DEI rollbacks that are shifting the talent landscape a bit. AI and data privacy regulations are starting to come out. And this is just the beginning. Every day we're waking up to something a little bit different. So if you have any comments, please drop them in the chat. So, number one, Let's talk about tariffs and cost chaos. In reality, we have 25% tariffs on all imports of Canada and Mexico. Well, wait a minute. I don't think that's all imports. I think there's a carve out or a lower rate for petroleum coming in from Canada, which is great because 65%, I think, of our petroleum imports comes from Canada. 10% tariffs from China. If you build anything, if you sell anything, if you rely on any tech hardware, you are going to feel this. I have a tariff story. Way back when PCs were brand new. And the original PC had memory of, I don't know, 65K or something like that, something little. And the memory chips that were made at the time came from Motorola, I believe, and Silicon National or something like that. Texas Instrument, two American companies. And the Japanese were creating memory chips that were cheaper. So the American companies were having a hard time competing with those prices. So they lobbied the US government at the time to put some tariffs in place, which would raise the cost of the Japanese imported memory and make it more equal to the US so the US could figure out how to compete. Well, of course, the US government took a long time to do that. And by the time they actually did that, um, Texas Instruments and whoever else it was got out of the memory chips. They just got out of that business. So the only chips you could buy was Japanese memory chips. And then all of a sudden, tariffs came into place, which took the price of PCs and totally raised them up. So tariffs actually raise the cost of our goods because the originating company that's being taxed just passes it along to the consumer. So it raises the cost. So that's what's going to happen here. Auto parts, electronics, food that we get from Mexico, petroleum, other things that we get from Canada are going to go up. I believe the president said in one interview he's doing this to get those governments to do more about illegal immigrants coming across the border, which I think is a thing we need to control. Yes. I don't know if this is the right way or not. Above my pay grade. You could love it, you could hate it. Doesn't matter. They're here. So if your 2025 budget doesn't account for rising costs, congratulations. You are already behind the 8 ball and need to put out a financial fire. So big tech might be able to absorb these costs. But what about small, medium businesses? You don't have the luxury. And let me tell you this. When we talk about tech, everybody thinks about the big ones, Amazon and Google and all that. 99.5% of tech companies are small to medium businesses. These are businesses under 500 people, right? Under 500 people. 99% of tech is under 500 people. It's not the big ones. So if you're an executive, what should you be doing? How should you be looking at this? If you're executive, start renegotiating vendor contracts now. Put together some pricing models Supply chain alternatives. Now, your supply chain is going to change. If you're a director, you may not be doing this at your level, but the supply chain raise in things will affect you. So bring solutions, not just panic. You're going to see costs increase. If you're seeing it, if you have some comments about it, please put it in the chat. Let's talk about that. Now, I said here, directors, VPs bring solutions, not just panic. I often, actually every single day, talk to leaders at different levels. One of the biggest complaints that they have is that people bring them problems, they don't bring them solutions. So at one point in time when I had a team, what I did was say, if you're coming to me to fix a problem, here are the rules of engagement. One, come to me with a very concise, succinct description of the problem, not a long story. And I want 3 possible solutions. I don't care how wild and crazy they are. I just want 3 possible solutions we can talk about. This starts to bring people to those solutions. Then after doing that for a few months and my people getting used to that, I changed the rules. Actually, I didn't change them. I just added one more rule to it. Come to me with a good description of the problem, at least 3 possible solutions, and your recommendation of how we would move forward. And that really made a richer, better conversation. Now is a great time to start doing that. So 2, let's talk about DEI rollbacks and what that really means. In reality, the government dropped DEA mandates in federal agencies. That doesn't necessarily affect us in private companies. Some companies may scale that back if you have those type of things in place, if you do government contracts and stuff like that. But what does it really mean to you? DEI was not about checking a corporate box. Most people that I talk about that are doing inclusion, diversity type hiring wasn't about checking the box and having the right number of people. It was about hiring the best people we could bring for the money that we could pay. And it's about building a company people actually want to work at. So if you're suddenly cutting DEI initiatives, think about the morale of your organization. Would that be a good thing or would that be a bad thing? Especially when it comes to retention. So if you are at the executive level, let your culture and hiring strategy slip. You'll feel it in turnover later. So understand who you're hiring, why you're hiring. And I want to tell you this, and I talk to many leaders about this. We bring together a diversity of people, especially in my experience in tech, because we want different ideas. We want different thoughts. We want people of different backgrounds to bring in information so we can innovate and create and so on. This brings together what I call good conflict. Lots of ideas. Let's talk them through. Which ones are we going to use? Which ones aren't we going to use? The problem I see, or the challenge I see, is that organizations bring these people together, but we don't give them tools on how to work with this good conflict. And good conflict, when left alone, will turn into bad conflict. Things like, you never listen to me. You never take my ideas seriously. You always use so-and-so's ideas. You never look at me, right? So that turns to bad conflict. So you need to put in tools and processes and skill sets of really harnessing that diversity that's in your organization. Directors, VPs, you are on the front line of your corporate culture, right? There's a culture for your company, how they like to work, the environment. And I kind of describe culture as being the way people work due to the environment the company built. For example, um, we often talk about collaboration. I need you guys to collaborate. I need these teams and departments to collaborate better. Yet, when it comes to doing the reviews, the yearly reviews and promotions, we don't base it on that collaboration. We base it on individual contributing. So we say one thing, but we build a culture and environment around something else. So, how do you do that? You start changing your policies on how you build your environment. Directors, VPs, you are on the front lines of this. How you make people feel, how you make people feel valued, how you get them engaged, not just tell them what to do. This is your job in building the culture for your organization. This is what it's about. So again, if you have anything you want to talk about, please drop it in the comments here so we can chat about it. So let's move on. AI and privacy laws. AI and privacy laws. In reality, AI regulations are not just for the Google and the Microsoft and so on. If you use AI for anything, for any automation, for customer service, for decision making, this will affect you. Privacy laws are starting to get stricter. Are you handling customer data with AI? Read the fine print. What you do with it, how you handle it. Is AI involved? I kind of pulled up on the side here. What's going on with this? For example, Utah has an artificial intelligence policy act going into effect May 1st, which establishes liability for companies that fail to disclose that they're using generative AI. This is required by consumer protection laws. So it also creates the Office of Artificial Intelligence Policy and Artificial Intelligence Learning Laboratory Programs. So they're coming. California, the state that I am in, Governor Newsom signed some bills that protect minors from AI generative explicit content, laws that generate material. Additionally, the laws in California are considered border and AI regulations through proposals and faced opposition. So there's a lot of vetoes and votes, but the states are going through and talking about AI. European Union is putting something in place starting August 1st that establishes a comprehensive regulatory framework of using AI within the EU. So, and it is in the G7 initiatives to talk about. So AI is coming up all over the place. There's rules and regulations. You need to keep an eye on what they're doing because they'll sneak up on you. And as I said, this is not just for Google and Microsoft. A lot of organizations are using AI bots on their website. So when people ask questions, they can get answers and you don't have to hire people to do that. So if you are at the executive level, My recommendation is to get compliance and legal teams involved now. The rules are coming fast. They're coming state by state at first, but you could see it's coming in the European Union and other places, so it's coming. Directors, VP level. This affects you. It touches your department. It this raises red flags. You need to be looking into it, how you're using it. Do you use it to help you write personnel reviews, maybe? Things like that. Um, really look into it before it comes a crisis. Again, if you're using AI for your business, tell me how. Drop it in the chat. Let me know what's going on. Um, Smart leaders must do now. What must we do now? I talk about leadership playbooks. If you are hearing things like, I do this because it's the industry best practice. I do this because this is our corporate standard. I do this because this is the way we've always done it. These are code for using last year's or even further back playbook. The playbooks don't work anymore. They need to change. You need to adapt. You need to experiment. We talked about adapting at the top of the hour here in the beginning. So, what do you need to do? Go ahead, understand the cost of your supply chain and what your margins depend on. If you're a software as a service, if you're using cloud, there's a lot of hardware that goes in that. The costs of using those may go up because of the cost of the hardware and the people supplying that cloud is going to go up. Culture still wins. Don't let the DEI rollbacks make you lazy. Really look into your culture, what your company needs as culture, and hire to the new culture you want, not to the culture you have. I can't say that louder. Hire to the culture you want, not to the culture you have. Why? Let me tell you a story. I heard it this way. If you know who Florence Nightingale is, she is considered the mother of statistics. Yeah, statistics. We know her as a nurse, but statistics also was her thing. And how I understand it is that while she's a nurse, she's watching the tents that the soldiers are coming through off the field and the survival rate of different ones coming through different tents, which means different doctors and different processes. And there was a big difference in the ones where the doctors washed their hands more often in between the different things, which was kind of new at the time. So some the statistics came out, and there was a big thing to try to get doctors to wash their hands more. And there was the ones that have been doctors for a long time would say something like, I've been a doctor for 40 years doing surgery and so on. I know what I'm doing. I don't need to wash my hands. Phooey, phooey, phooey. What did it take to change that? What did it take to change that? Well, what it took was the new doctors to phase out the old doctors. The new doctors being taught to wash their hands from the very beginning and became part of their practice. And it took to phasing these folks out. So when I say hire to the new culture you want, not to the culture you have, this is an example of why you need to do that. The new people coming in will help change the culture. Okay, AI compliance isn't a problem right now, but it's a future. that means you need to think about it now. And if you wait till later, it will be a problem, a crisis. And again, then you're reacting instead of being proactive and adapting. Waiting equals reacting equals losing. Smart leaders move first. As I said, if you're doing saying thing, this is industry best practice. That means you're striving to be mediocre. You're following, you're not leading. You're doing what people already figured out. And and if you're behind, maybe that's a good thing. But at some point you need to move forward. So, what are you doing this quarter to get ahead? Drop it in the comments. Let me know. So, we're kind of getting to our half hour. We have about 3-ish minutes left. I really thank you for joining us today, being involved in our leadership talk. I want to hear from you. You want to chat? You want an idea of what to do different or better? You can sign up with me and put some information and just chat. The link is down here at jamessaliba.com/meetings with an S pound virtual coffee. It's just a chat. It's not to sell you anything. If you're having issues, let's talk about it today. Put something on the schedule. So, in closing, tariffs, DEI shifts, AI rules, they're here. Lead proactively. If you're not adapting now, you are behind. Want to talk this through, how it impacts your business? Certainly DM me, set up an appointment. And next week, we're going to talk into a deep dive of how to lead in this shifting economy. More details. Have questions or thoughts of ideas? Let me know. Until then, have a great day, have a great weekend, and I see you next